Welcome to English Dialogues. In the last 18 months, we've experienced 3 extraordinary events: Brexit, Donald Trump, and Catalonia. Many experts say that these events were caused by the emergence of populism. But those same experts can't agree what populism is exactly. In today's dialogue, Rockaby and Jack explore the phenomenon of populism and arrive at a concrete definition. Remember, the transcription of this audio, the vocabulary list, and conversation questions are free. Visit our website, vocatic.com. Okay, Rockaby, what is populism exactly? Populism. Well, if democracy is like Abraham Lincoln described it, government of the people, for the people, by the people, then populism is like government of the stupid, by the stupid, for the stupid. Come on, Rockaby, give us your real explanation. Look, Jack, I'm half American, educated in Britain, and I live in Spain, okay? In 1 year, I had to deal with Brexit, Trump, and Catalonian independence. It's hard for me to talk about populism without being angry. Government of the people is a noble and beautiful thing, but the problem is that as the years 2016 and 2017 showed, all it takes is a few adverts on Facebook and then people start voting for all sorts of crazy shit, like populism. Okay then, so give me a dictionary explanation of populism instead of the Rockaby biography. A dictionary definition would be this: populism is a form of government where decisions are made and policies are formulated based on what's popular. Really? Well, if that's the case, populism sounds fantastic. Everybody wants the government to do things that are popular. That's true, but it turns out that what's popular amongst the people isn't necessarily what's good for the people. Think about this example. Imagine there's a new director at the local school who wants to be popular with the children. So he promises to give them free chocolate during class, a bottle of Fanta with lunch, and a big bag of sweets to take home. This promise makes him popular, but of course, all that sugar will make the kids turn out fat. Therefore, the policy is popular, but would be bad for their health in the long term. So, if we transfer this idea to politics, populists get votes by promising people something they want, something that's popular, but unfortunately, this popular thing has negative consequences for the country in the long term. But if that's populism, why is it so often associated with racism and other negative ideas? Well, let's imagine that the school director, like many populists, has to deal with economic reality, and there's no money for free chocolate. Now he's got a problem. So what does he do? Well, he explains to the children that he was just about to buy the chocolate and Fanta when he received a call from the Department of Education, telling him that some immigrant families arrived in town and the immigrants had no money to pay for their children's textbooks, and so all the money for the chocolate went to buy books for the new immigrant students. Fucking immigrants. And the kids start thinking of all that chocolate they've lost, and they also say, fucking immigrants. So, populism often leads to racism or homophobia or Islamophobia because the populist has to blame someone when he breaks his promises. And the people he blames are usually another race or class or religion or sexuality. Your logic is impeccable, but while giving free chocolate is clearly popular, I can't see what's popular about criticizing immigrants. Well, in the first example, the populist was promising something material, more chocolate. But in the second, he gives the people something emotional, someone to blame. Humans need to understand why they don't have jobs, why they're depressed, why they're poor, etc. And the populist gives them an answer. The fucking immigrants, or the gays, or elites, or foreign governments, etc. And that's why populism is so dangerous for democracy, because when the populist creates a hate group, he immediately divides society into two irreconcilable blocks and destroys the tolerance which democracy depends on. But that's not the only problem. Not surprisingly, this division affects the economy. But in order to maintain his power base, the populist has to continue with the hate and use economic corruption to direct resources, jobs, and privileges to his supporters. This corruption causes even deeper economic problems, and then the populace starts to lose his majority support in the country. That's when he turns to oppression instead of populism. Venezuela is a classic example. It started out with a series of populist policies, giving stuff to poor people, but eventually divided the country, destroyed the economy, and when there were no more populist solutions, the government turned into a dictatorship. But that's the part I don't understand. If a populist likes to do things that are popular, how can he tolerate being a dictator, a person who's so clearly unpopular? Your error, Jack, is to think that he loves popular policies because he loves the people. No, the populist loves power and is so desperate for power that he doesn't think of principles or ideology when he makes policies. He just offers people what they want in order to get that power. He's a political prostitute. So what made him a populist in the first place is that he'll do anything to gain power. meaning that when populism doesn't work anymore, he turns to a different method: oppression. So, if the job of a government is to make decisions for the good of the country, populism is a cancer of the decision-making process, because the motive for all decisions is not the good of the country, but to gain and maintain power. Yes, exactly. And the problem is that the disease spreads and makes the entire political system dysfunctional. For example, because experts can easily show how bad his policies are, the populist starts attacking experts and educated people, accusing them of a conspiracy against the people, which creates another division. Then he starts a war against the media because they also expose him. Finally, when that doesn't work, the populist launches a program of distractions and controversies to make sure that people stop talking about policy and start talking about the distractions. Trump, for example, knows that the moment he insults someone, that he will dominate the news. I mean, seriously, Jack, at every level of society and government, populism causes dysfunction. So, if populism is the disease, what's the cure? Because it seems to be spreading around the world. Well, democracies become infected because the minds of their voters become infected. Let's not forget, it was a democratic referendum which gave Hitler absolute power in 1934. The only way to avoid these infections is to have an excellent education system which transmits positive values, love, peace, tolerance, and the rational thinking that makes them resistant to propaganda and manipulation. Final question. Considering that populism is so dangerous, do you still believe in democracy, Rockaby? My feelings about democracy are exactly the same as Winston Churchill's in 1947, when he stood up in Parliament and said, "It is my considered opinion that democracy is the worst form of government, apart from all the others." Hello, my name's Rockaby Lynch. It's time to do the listening questions. You can see the correct answer on the transcription. Question number 1. What is my personal connection with populism? What is my personal connection with populism? Number 2. What excuse does the school director use when he can't give the chocolate he promised the children? Number 3. Why are controversies and insults important to a populist? Number 4. What is the best defense against populism? Number 5. What was Winston Churchill trying to say? And say it in your own words. What was Winston Churchill trying to say? Now for a 1-minute pronunciation class. Today, I want to focus on a word that we just heard in today's listening exercise. Launch. Lanzar en español. Launch, which means to start or initiate a program or a business or a campaign. The difficult sound in this word is the or. Launch. Very difficult for Latin speakers and Chinese speakers. Repeat. Launch. Or. If you can dominate that sound, you will improve your pronunciation a lot. Let's repeat it 3 times. Launch. 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 This is the same sound of words like form and born and dawn. Dawn is the first moment of the day when the sun comes up. So, to practice this sound, I want you to remember and repeat this phrase. I was born at dawn. Or, if you're feeling a little spicy, you can say, I was born for porn. Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of the class. But remember, these podcasts are not only designed for listening, but to stimulate conversation. In the podcast transcription, there are 5 conversation questions about populism and international politics. Discuss them in class or with your friends, or if you have nobody to discuss them with, you can do a 45-minute conversation class with me on Skype. Okay, also, don't forget my podcast. That combines vocabulary and grammar. Okay, I'll see you next week. We're going